Danny Trejo had never been one to shy away from adversity. With a face etched by time and experience, he carried a rugged charm that belied a heart brimming with compassion. His life had been a tapestry woven with threads of resilience, each stitch telling a story of overcoming the odds. On that fateful August day in 2019, as he navigated the busy streets of Los Angeles, he found himself in the right place at the right time, a moment that would call upon every ounce of his character and spirit. Little did he know, he was about to become a hero in the eyes of many, not through the roles he played on screen, but through an act of selfless bravery that would leave an indelible mark on his soul and the lives of others. Before we dive deeper into this incredible story, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support is invaluable to us and helps us share these heartwarming tales of courage and kindness with a wider audience. So please hit that subscribe button now. As the midday sun cast a golden hue over the city, Danny's thoughts wandered to the countless moments he had spent reflecting on the importance of family. Growing up in a challenging neighborhood, he had learned early on that life could be unpredictable and dangerous. Yet, amidst the chaos, the love of his family had always served as his anchor. He often reminisced about his grandmother's warm embrace, the way she would wrap him in her arms and whisper words of encouragement, reminding him that he was destined for greatness despite the trials he faced. It was this memory that fueled his desire to help others, to protect the vulnerable, and to be a beacon of hope in a world that sometimes felt dark. On that day, as he drove through the Sylmar neighborhood, he couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was about to unfold. The air buzzed with the hum of everyday life, but there was an undercurrent of tension that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. Danny's instincts, honed from years of navigating his own tumultuous past, told him to stay alert. As he turned a corner, his heart dropped at the sight of two vehicles collided at an intersection. One of the cars had flipped onto its side, the other crumpled and still. Time seemed to slow as he registered the horrifying scene before him. Without a second thought, Danny parked his car and sprinted towards the wreckage. His mind raced as he assessed the situation, the adrenaline surging through his veins. He could hear muffled cries and the distinct sound of fear in the air. A crowd began to gather, but he was laser-focused on the overturned vehicle. In that moment, he didn't see himself as a Hollywood star. He simply saw a man who had to act. He could not stand by while innocent lives were at risk. As he approached the car, the reality of the situation became painfully clear. Inside, a young child was trapped in a car seat, his face streaked with tears and smeared with dirt, while the child's grandmother lay unconscious beside him. The sight of the terrified boy struck a chord deep within Danny's heart, reminding him of his own childhood fears. He recalled the times he had been scared and alone, yearning for someone to come to his aid. In that instant, he knew he had to be that someone for this child. With determination etched on his face, Danny crawled into the wreckage, his body contorting to fit through the jagged metal and shattered glass. The heat of the moment was palpable, the cries of the child echoing in his ears as he maneuvered his way closer. He could feel the weight of the world pressing down on him, but he refused to falter. Every ounce of his being was focused on the child, his heart pounding in rhythm with the urgency of the situation. "Hey, buddy, it's okay. I'm here," Danny called out, his voice calm and reassuring despite the chaos surrounding them. The child's wide eyes met his, filled with fear and confusion. For a moment, the world around them faded away, and it was just the two of them. Two souls connected by an unspoken bond of trust. Danny reached the child, his hands trembling slightly as he unbuckled the car seat. The straps felt like a lifeline, and he worked quickly yet carefully, knowing that every second counted. In the back of his mind, he could hear the distant wails of sirens approaching, but all that mattered was the child in front of him. He could see the boy's small frame, curled up in fear, and it ignited a fierce protective instinct within Danny. He had to get him out. "Can you help me? We're going to get you out of here," Danny said, his voice steady. The boy nodded, tears streaming down his cheeks as he clutched his toy tightly. In that moment, They were allies in a battle against fate, and Danny was determined to lead him to safety. As he finally freed the child from the constraints of the car seat, Danny felt a rush of relief wash over him. He cradled the boy in his arms, his heart swelling with a mix of emotions: fear, gratitude, and an overwhelming sense of purpose. With the child securely held against him, he began to crawl back through the wreckage. Each movement was deliberate, each second stretched as he navigated the twisted metal and shattered glass that surrounded them. Outside, the crowd had grown, and bystanders watched in awe, some capturing the moment on their phones, while others shouted words of encouragement. Danny could feel their energy, their hope, and it fueled his resolve. He was not just saving a child. He was reminding everyone that courage could emerge in the most unexpected places. As he reached the open air, Danny emerged from the wreckage, the child still clutched tightly to his chest. The sight of the boy safe and sound brought a wave of applause from the onlookers, a chorus of relief mingling with the distant sound of approaching sirens. The boy's wide eyes filled with wonder as he looked around, still processing the whirlwind of emotions. Danny set him down gently, ensuring he was steady on his feet before turning to check on the grandmother, who lay still in the vehicle. In that moment, Danny felt a sense of connection to the child and his family that transcended the chaos of the situation. It was a reminder that beneath the surface of every individual, there was a story, a history that shaped who they were. The bond between family was sacred, and he had just played a small part in preserving it. As the paramedics arrived, Danny stepped back, allowing the professionals to take over. He felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration wash over him. He had acted on instinct, driven by the love and kindness he had always carried within him. The child was safe, and that was all that mattered. The weight of the world that had pressed down on him moments before began to lift, leaving behind a profound sense of fulfillment. Looking back at the scene, he realized that this was more than just a moment of heroism. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. In a world often overshadowed by negativity, Danny had witnessed a spark of hope, a reminder that compassion and bravery could shine through even in the darkest of times. As he turned to leave, he caught a glimpse of the boy, who was now being comforted by a paramedic, his fear replaced by a tentative smile. In that moment, Danny knew he had made a difference, and it would stay with him forever. As Danny stepped back, allowing the paramedics to take charge, he felt a surge of pride swell within him. The cacophony of sirens and the bustling crowd faded momentarily, leaving him suspended in a bubble of reflection. He had always valued heroes, those who put their lives on the line to protect others, but never had he envisioned himself in such a role. The tears of the child etched into his memory reminded him of the fragility of life, the delicate balance between safety and chaos that hung over every family. It was a lesson he had learned early on, one that had shaped his very existence and his desire to uplift those around him. As the paramedics worked swiftly and efficiently, Danny found a quiet corner of the scene, leaning against a nearby lamppost. He watched as they assessed the grandmother, gently checking for injuries while ensuring the child remained calm. A sense of gratitude enveloped him as he observed the professionals doing what they were trained to do, their movements fluid and purposeful. Danny remembered his own upbringing in a rough neighborhood, how community and support had been his lifeline. It took a village to raise a child, and today that village had included him. The crowd began to disperse, but some lingered, still awestruck by the unfolding events. Whispers of admiration circulated among them, and Danny overheard snippets of conversations praising his courage. "Did you see how he went in there?" one woman said, her voice filled with awe. He didn't hesitate for a second. Danny couldn't help but smile at the compliments, but inside, he felt a sense of humility. It was not about accolades. It was about being present when it mattered most. Eventually, a woman approached him cautiously. Her eyes were misty, and her voice trembled slightly as she spoke. "Thank you for what you did. I can't even begin to imagine what would have happened if you hadn't been there." Danny looked into her eyes, seeing the weight of her gratitude, and he felt the depth of that connection. It was a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness could ripple outwards, creating waves of hope in the lives of others. "I was just in the right place at the right time," he replied, his voice steady but warm. Anyone would have done the same. He hoped to convey that heroism was not a singular trait, but rather an inherent part of humanity. Sometimes, it only took a moment of clarity to rise above fear and act on behalf of others. The woman nodded, her expression softening as she took a step closer. "No, Danny, you don't understand. You saved that little boy's life. You were his hero today." Her words hung in the air, and Danny felt the truth of them resonate within him. It was a powerful acknowledgement, one that ignited a spark of purpose within him. As the paramedics prepared to transport the grandmother and the child to the hospital, Danny felt an overwhelming urge to check on them one last time. He approached the ambulance and caught sight of the child's small figure, now wrapped in a cozy blanket, his tear-streaked face beginning to show signs of relief. The boy's gaze met Danny's, and for a fleeting moment, it was as if they shared a silent understanding. They were bound by an experience that transcended words, an unspoken promise that they would both carry this day with them forever. "Hey, buddy," Danny said softly, crouching down to the child's eye level. "You're going to be okay. You were really brave today." The boy offered a tentative smile, still clutching his toy, a small action that sent a rush of warmth through Danny's heart. It was a symbolic gesture of resilience, a flicker of hope igniting in the aftermath of chaos. The paramedics gave Danny a nod of appreciation as they loaded the grandmother into the ambulance. They had seen countless accidents and emergencies, but today, they had witnessed something extraordinary, a community coming together, one person stepping forward to make a difference. It was a reminder that every person's life mattered, and that sometimes, heroes emerged from the most unexpected places. As the ambulance doors closed, Danny stood back, watching as they drove away. He felt a wave of emotion wash over him, a blend of relief and gratitude. The day had tested him in ways he never imagined, exposing the raw vulnerability that lay beneath his tough exterior. Yet, in that vulnerability, he discovered a profound strength, the kind that comes from knowing you have the power to impact someone's life in a meaningful way. He turned to leave, but a voice called out from behind him. It was a young man, perhaps in his early 20s, a look of admiration in his eyes. "Danny, can I get a picture with you?" The request was simple, yet it filled him with a sense of connection to the world around him. Here was someone who looked up to him, not just as an actor, but as a person who had taken a stand when it mattered most. "Of course," Danny replied, a grin spreading across his face. As they posed together, he felt the warmth of the moment, a shared experience that transcended celebrity status. The young man held up his phone, capturing not just a moment of recognition but a testament to the power of kindness and bravery, qualities that could inspire anyone, anywhere. As they parted ways, Danny found himself reflecting on the impact of that day. He thought of the countless stories of courage he had heard growing up, the legends of heroes who had faced insurmountable odds. He realized that heroism was not always about grand gestures. Sometimes, it was simply about being present and willing to help when the opportunity arose. In the days that followed, Danny continued to think about the child and his grandmother. He reached out to local organizations focused on child safety and car seat education, eager to advocate for the importance of proper safety measures. He wanted to ensure that no family would have to experience such terror again, and he believed that education was a powerful tool in preventing tragedy. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to comment from where you are hearing this amazing story. Your engagement is not just appreciated. It fuels the mission to spread awareness and inspire others to act with kindness and courage. Through his advocacy, Danny found a renewed sense of purpose. He was reminded of the impact one individual could have when they chose to step forward in the face of adversity. When he spoke to groups about the importance of safety and community, he felt a connection to those who listened. They were not just faces in the crowd, they were future heroes, each capable of making a difference in someone's life. And so, Danny's life began to take on a new rhythm, one that intertwined his past experiences with a hopeful vision for the future. He became more involved in community events, using his platform to spread messages of resilience and compassion. As he shared his story, he saw the flicker of inspiration in the eyes of others, igniting a passion within him to keep advocating for those who needed it most. In moments of quiet reflection, Danny often thought back to that day in Silmar, the chaos, the fear, and ultimately, the triumph of saving a life. It was a chapter of his life that had transformed his understanding of heroism, revealing that it was not solely the acts of bravery that defined a hero, but the heart behind those actions. The love for family, the commitment to community, and the unwavering desire to protect the vulnerable, all of these elements coalesced within him, urging him to continue his work. As he drove through Los Angeles, the city he loved, Danny felt a renewed sense of purpose. Each street held memories, each neighborhood was a reminder of the lives intertwined with his own. He knew that the story of the child and his grandmother was just one among many, and he was determined to be a part of as many of those stories as he could. He understood that while the world could be chaotic, there was also an abundance of kindness waiting to be discovered, one heroic act at a time. With each passing day, Danny Trejo continued to embrace the challenges that lay ahead, knowing that the spirit of bravery and compassion would guide him. He was not just a man of the movies. He was an ambassador of hope, a protector of families, and above all, a reminder that anyone can be a hero. The narrative of his life was still being written, and he was ready to embrace every chapter with open arms. As he drove through Los Angeles, the city he loved, Danny felt a renewed sense of purpose. Each street held memories, each neighborhood was a reminder of the lives intertwined with his own. He knew that the story of the child and his grandmother was just one among many, and he was determined to be a part of as many of those stories as he could. He understood that while the world could be chaotic, there was also an abundance of kindness waiting to be discovered, one heroic act at a time. With each passing day, Danny Trejo continued to embrace the challenges that lay ahead, knowing that the spirit of bravery and compassion would guide him. He was not just a man of the movies. He was an ambassador of hope, a protector of families, and above all, a reminder that anyone can be a hero. The narrative of his life was still being written, and he was ready to embrace every chapter with open arms. As the weeks turned into months, Danny found himself increasingly involved with local charities, particularly those dedicated to child safety and family welfare. He hosted community events where he spoke candidly about his experience, emphasizing the importance of vigilance and preparedness in everyday life. Families gathered to hear him share not only his story, but also practical advice on safety measures, including the proper use of car seats. His authenticity resonated deeply with the audience, and he saw their faces light up with hope and determination. One afternoon, while volunteering at a community center, he encountered a mother who had attended one of his talks. She approached him, her eyes bright with gratitude. "You saved my son's life," she said, her voice shaking with emotion. "I didn't realize how vital it was to have him in a proper car seat until I heard you speak. I can't thank you enough." Danny felt a familiar swell of emotion, a reminder that his actions had far-reaching effects beyond that fateful day. Encouraged by these interactions, Danny began to envision a larger initiative, a campaign that would not only raise awareness but also provide resources for families who could not afford safety equipment. He collaborated with local businesses and organizations, pooling their efforts to create a network of support for families in need. The campaign, aptly named Safe Families, Strong Communities, gained traction quickly, bolstered by the heartfelt testimonials of those he had inspired. Danny's dedication to this cause transformed into a movement, one that rallied volunteers and supporters from all walks of life. They organized safety workshops, distributed car seats to families, and created educational materials that reached schools across the city. Each event was a testament to the power of community, showcasing the incredible things that could happen when people came together for a common purpose. Danny's energy was contagious, and with every new family he connected with, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. As the campaign grew, Danny also found time for his passion for acting. He continued to take on roles that resonated with his values, portraying characters that reflected the strength and resilience he had come to embody in real life. Yet, no role compared to the one he had taken on as a community advocate. The accolades and recognition that came from his acting career paled in comparison to the satisfaction of making a tangible difference in people's lives. One day, as he prepared for a community event, Danny received a call from a local television station. They wanted to feature his story and the campaign on their evening news. Excited but nervous, he agreed, knowing that this would be another opportunity to reach even more families. The day of the interview arrived, and as Danny stood in front of the camera, he spoke passionately about the importance of safety and community support. He shared the story of the child he had saved, emphasizing that every child deserved to feel protected and loved. The segment aired that evening, and as Danny watched from his living room, he felt a rush of emotions. The response was overwhelming. People from all over the city reached out, wanting to get involved, donate, or simply express their appreciation for his efforts. It was a reminder of the ripple effect that one act of courage could have, inspiring others to take action and contribute to a cause greater than themselves. Time continued to flow, and with each passing day, Danny remained dedicated to his mission. He witnessed firsthand the positive changes in families who had benefited from the campaign. The smiles of children secured safely in their car seats, the gratitude expressed by parents who felt empowered to make informed decisions. All of it reinforced his belief that he was on the right path. As he stood on the stage at a community gala one evening, surrounded by supporters and families who had been touched by his work, Danny took a moment to reflect. It was a celebration of unity and resilience, a night to honor the collective efforts of those who had come together to make a difference. When he took the microphone, he felt the weight of responsibility and hope resting on his shoulders. "Thank you for believing in this cause," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "It's not just about me or the day I acted in a moment of crisis. It's about all of us, every single person here, choosing to stand up for what matters. Together, we can create a safer world for our children, a world where families thrive." The crowd erupted in applause, and in that moment, Danny knew he had found his true calling. The journey had begun with a single act of bravery, but it had evolved into a movement fueled by love, compassion, and the unwavering belief that together, they could change lives. As he stepped down from the stage, he was met with warm embraces and words of encouragement from those he had inspired. Each interaction reaffirmed his commitment to continue this journey, one where he could be a catalyst for change, a voice for the vulnerable, and a beacon of hope for families in need. And as he looked around at the faces shining with determination, he felt a deep sense of belonging, knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be.